Namo Aditafa. Thanks so much for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This wonderful sound calls us back to our true home. The first mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I vow to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I'm determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. For our Dharma lesson, we've been reading Everything We Do Matters by Venerable Wuling, and today we're continuing in her talk on vengeance and the story of Digavu. Next, in the account the Buddha related, the king told his son to not be nearsighted, which meant to not readily break a friendship. The about-to-be executed king wanted his son to understand the value of friendship and trust. To befriend others, we need to have trust in people and be trustworthy ourselves. Realizing that Digavu was about to kill him, King Brahmadatta knelt down and begged Digavu to spare his life. We could say that since Digavu was about to kill the king, this was not an act of trust, but one of fear and desperation. But then Digavu remembered his father's advice for him to not readily break a friendship. Suddenly, aware of the meaning of these words, Digavu put away his sword. Then he asked for the king's forgiveness. This was an act of great trust on his part. He compounded his trust by returning to the king's palace, thereby putting his own life at even greater risk. This time, the king returned the prince's trust by telling his ministers what had happened and handing back the conquered kingdom to Digavu. To further deepen the bond between them, he gave Digavu his daughter in marriage. In our trust, we need to be sincere. It was the prince's sincerity that so moved the king. Too often when we do something, we just do so with hesitation and doubt. This doubt may well prevent us from doing what we know to be right. Or our motives for doing something may well be selfish. Digavu's were not. He wanted to honor his father's words and not carry hatred and bitterness in his heart. His wish to do so was so strong that he was willing to sacrifice his own life to let go of hatred and vengeance. This was not easy for him to do. He struggled with himself, pulling out his sword 3 times to kill the sleeping king. But in his heart, he knew the truth of his father's words, and in the end he was able to lay aside his wish for revenge. So often, we act out of self-interest, unwilling even to sacrifice our pride, much less our lives. In our struggle with our conscience, we also have doubts, and like Digavu, we also hesitate. Thoughts that we are right, and that we know what will make us happy and bring us what we desire keep bubbling up from within, inside us. Unlike Digavu, in really important matters, we repeatedly fall short of acting on what we sense to be right. We do so not because we are bad people. We do so because we are careless and because we have gotten into the habit of giving ourselves excuses to not do what is right. We tell ourselves we deserve to feel the way we do. So with hesitation and doubt, we may not do what we know we should. And even if we do what we know to be right, the hesitation is still there. Moreover, this hesitation will be apparent to others around us. But if we can completely overcome the negative, selfish inclination and wholeheartedly do what we know to be right, our sincerity will shine through. If we are sincere, truly sincere, we will touch others. And if we trust others with such palpable sincerity that they are able to feel it, then we ourselves will be deemed trustworthy and honorable. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Namo Phat. Thanks so much for joining me today.